Good evening. Within the last half hour, Celtic have sacked their entire management team. Out go head coach John Barnes, assistant coach Eric Black and Terry McDermott.
Kenny Dalglish, Celtic's director of football, is to take temporary charge of the first team. The news comes after a day of speculation and rumour. Well, our reporter Martin Geisler has been following the day's events and he joins us now live from Celtic Park. Martin.
Hi Shireen, yes, literally in the last 30 minutes this news has broken. It really is news hot off the press. Let me read you a statement we were handed at 5:30 by Celtic's Director of Public Relations, Peter McLean. It's attributed to Kenny Dalglish and it reads, "It's with regret that I announce that John Barnes and Eric Black's contracts with Celtic have been terminated with immediate effect. Furthermore, following discussions between Celtic and Terry McDermott, it's regretted Terry will be leaving Celtic by mutual agreement." There we have it, the simple facts, a clear out behind the scenes at Celtic Park. Realistically though, it's no surprise. It's been an eventful 30 minutes, but a lot of hanging about here today to hear the inevitable after the result on Tuesday night. It wasn't really a question of whether John Barnes would be sacked. Most people were in agreement. It was more a question of when. Mark Viduka looking happy, perhaps too happy, as he arrived for work this morning. Signs of strain were more evident on the faces of his teammates as they reported for duty. None would admit it, but they must all have been expecting the inevitable. No sign of John Barnes at the ground today. Training, held unusually inside the stadium, was taken, we're told, by Kenny Dalglish. After, while his teammates walked out of the front to their cars, Mark Viduka slipped out of a back door and down a side street. The press, who'd been camped out in the car park all day, were invited inside the stadium this afternoon, but it was fully 3 hours before Alan MacDonald and Kenny Dalglish confirmed the rumours. John Barnes and his number 2, Eric Black, fired. Terry McDermott is also to leave Celtic. Dalglish then made reference to his own position.
I don't find myself too comfortable sitting here, because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for the footballing operations, and as part of that I feel as much responsibility as anybody else when things don't go correctly. If I'd have thought, and the board would have thought, it was in the best interest of the football club for myself to go along with the other 3, then I would have done that. But fortunately for myself, and hopefully in the future fortunately for the club, Kenny Dalglish remains here.
The fans too were given copies of the statement. This is how they reacted.
I want to know why they sacked Barnes and that and kept Kenny Dalglish. It was Kenny Dalglish that started it, or why not bring back Wim Jansen?
We need a Celtic man in charge. You know, Kenny Dalglish should have went with Barnes. You know, we need somebody who feels the same as us in charge of Celtic to bring his glory back again.
Do you even think he should have been appointed in the first place? They should have kept Wim Jansen.
Well, Martin, what now for Celtic?
Well, obviously the search is on immediately, Shireen, to find a replacement for John Barnes. You heard the voice of the supporters there. Wim Jansen is the man they're all talking about. Of course, he brought the league championship here. He brought glory back to Celtic Park. He obviously will be one contender. Expect to see any number of names in the newspapers over the coming days. Joe Kinnear, interestingly, the former Wimbledon manager, is another name that's on a few lips around here today, but we really will have to wait and see. Kenny Dalglish did suggest that the situation will be addressed as soon as possible. In the press conference in the last few minutes, he said, "We will be looking for a new coach as soon as possible, but not to the detriment of quality."
Say how pleased I am that Kenny Dalglish and John Barnes have decided to join Celtic Football Club and bring their great talents to a club who hopefully they'll find has the appetite to match their ambitions.
It's a big job and I'm very fortunate to be here, but I'm looking forward to it. My role will be on the training pitch and working with the players, and that's what I'm looking forward to, because I've got very strong ideas on how football to be played.
It is dangerous down there.
Inexperience has nothing to do with it. It's to do with the quality of the person, as to whether he believes that he can do the job. And I believe I can.
And that's the magnificent 7.
So Celtic started the season looking as if they could be smiles better than the previous year. But the rain came after the sunshine, and by the time the clocks went back, Parkhead was no longer a fortress. The defeats were becoming more regular, and it was clear who was carrying the can.
John will make the final decision on who plays, how we train, when we train, where we train. and who signs for the club and who leaves the club.
Ultimately, the decision, as he has said, is his. Now, as to he wasn't happy with playing the way he was, whatever, I mean, we don't know. But Craig and I have never fallen out, and Craig has played more games for me than I would say 99% of the players, so therefore it showed what I thought of Craig Burley.
John Barnes will go the full distance in football, and I hope it's here. And I still firmly believe that. And there's nothing that's happened to make me change my mind.
We've had 8 managers here at Celtic in 10 years. No wonder the fans are frustrated, because we haven't ever given a management team the time to get it right. And we're determined, despite the pressures, to give this team the opportunity to get it right.
And football being the crazy game it is, Barnes improved enough to carry off a Manager of the Month award. It was not, though, to be a sign of things to come. First there was Killie, then there was Hearts, and then Inverness Caledonian Thistle. When the going gets really tough, it's time for the tough to get going. But Barnes had to be pushed.
I understand that it will be calling for the resignation of the manager, of course. But, you know, they're Celtic fans, they love the club. They've come in their droves once again, and they've been let down once again. But for the club to achieve anything, they need their support. So this is one of the worst results, but no, I won't resign off the back of that.
It's been another astonishing day here in Paradise. Kenny Dalglish and Tommy Boyd held a press conference but refused to answer questions from the mass media. What we do know is that they've kissed and made up with Mark Viduka, and he is likely to play against Dundee tomorrow. But so many things remain unanswered. Celtic simply wouldn't answer what we wanted to ask, like should Dalglish have fallen on the sword with Barnes? Or what part did Kenny actually play in the sacking? Or exactly which players does he accuse of not trying? Who will get the job? And what is Dalglish's relationship with Alan MacDonald now?
Same, there's an incident between Mark Viduka and Eric Black. I don't think anybody should be misled or misinterpreted it. As a result of that one incident, that Eric is no longer here, absolutely no bearing on the unfortunate circumstances and the events that happened to Eric there afterwards. Regards Mark Viduka, I think that the fact that he never went out to play in the second half was understandable in the frame of mind he's in. We don't encourage people that don't want to play for Celtic. We don't want people that don't want to play for Celtic. But I think it was in Celtic's best interest, the frame of mind that he was in at that particular time, that he didn't go out to play. That issue has been put behind everybody. It's been addressed. We won't be carrying it forward any further than this.
We'd like to apologise to the fans for putting them through probably the worst result in the history of the club. I can assure you all the players down the stairs are gutted, and we want to do something about it.
There was something reported between Jonathan Gould and Eyal Berkovic. I've spoken to Jonathan this morning. That's dead and buried. Both lads have kissed and made up. There's absolutely no apprehension, no problems between either parties there. And I think something that's got to be understood. I've been in many a dressing room, and I've been involved in many discussions and many arguments. And I've been involved in arguments with people who have been my roommate at those particular clubs. But there was nothing carried forward, nothing carried onto the pitch. There was nothing taken on afterwards. It was said and it was forgotten about, and it was never reported. And that's the problem that we have here a little bit. That we know that there's a problem trying to keep things in-house here, and we're trying to address that also. We would like to find the solutions to it. I know yourselves hope that we don't, but that's another matter.
There's a lot of other things says about dressing room morale and stuff that, as usual, the arms and legs are attached to. There's arguments that go on, and yes, there is problems, but no problems. These problems are at every other club up down the country. You go any team success, there's just a lot of players that care and want to be successful. Yeah, the arguments are there, but maybe the problem was that we've been taking them onto the pitch and not playing as a team.
Maybe we won't get it corrected in one game, but we should see some positive signs of improvement starting from tomorrow's match. Certainly the way they've conducted themselves in training, there has been an air of gloom about the place because of the events of yesterday, but they've done their training as well as you would expect. in the present climate, and we're prepared as well as you could be expected for the match tomorrow.
Mark Reaper has joined the coaching staff on a temporary basis. He has his own thoughts on who should replace Barnes, and he wouldn't say no to Wim Jansen.
I had a great relationship with Wim, as I have had with every manager I've had, even John Barnes and Eric Black. They were fantastic to me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to train a lot with them, but they were really, really good to me, and I couldn't put a finger on anything they'd done wrong towards me. So I think it would be difficult to try and speculate in that. I'm sure the club and Kenny is well aware of the possible prospects.
Well, there hasn't been any person spoken to as regard anybody coming in here to help myself with any responsibilities that we're about to be carrying out in the next forthcoming months or whatever it is, weeks, days, whatever. However long it takes us to find the suitable replacement for here, as we said yesterday, it will be done and judged by the quality of the people available rather than the time scale.
At the end of another chaotic week for Celtic supporters, there's great concern and confusion about what the immediate future holds. Friday Sports Scene went to the pub today, no change there, I hear you cry, to talk to an unhappy half dozen. Davy, Nicky, Harry, Dirk, Joe and Peter gave us some true fans' feelings.
Fans are obviously paying for blood. Sack Barnes is an instant reaction. Is that real leadership? Is that leadership you expect from guys like Doug Leash?
No. Instead of sacking him, what would they do in the background to support him? What would they do in the background to support him in the dressing room, all the turmoil in the dressing room, which we all know is going on. All the players we know are at each other's throats. We know this. It's no big secret. They're all crying about money and all the rest. He's getting more than me. It's like a playground, isn't it? That's what it'd be like.
I mean, Dalglish has been honest enough to come out and say that he probably made a mistake. And
no, he did make a mistake.
Yeah. It was a hell of a mistake to make.
Yes, I mean,
in a business that's got 60,000 people coming in every week, it's a hell of a mistake to make.
I don't believe any Celtic player, pardon me, Celtic supporter, honestly, has got 100% faith in Kenny. I don't believe it. I haven't.
But where's his role then?
Because
I'm from Hamburg. I'm one of the St. Pauli guys following Celtic, supporting Celtic for 10 years now, you know. So my view is a bit different to these guys. I can't see the fact giving someone a 7-year contract just for the legend, just for the name. I mean, he got to prove something to do, you know. So I mean,
it shows on the part though that against Hearts and against Inverness Cali, there was no leadership on the park. There was no leadership off the park, and you could see it was like individuals all running about. No one was wanting to take responsibility, to grab the responsibility and say, right, let's hold this together here a wee bit. The bench were all giving it.
There's not one player that's been brought in since that new team's, that new management team took over that has had an influence. All the people that are there were bought by Dr. Joe, brought in by Jansen. You know, they're the guys that are, you know, that we seem to be getting some value from. Not just on their commitment on the park, but you know, just their general qualities.
I can see the hand of the manager of John Barnes. I can see an idea on the pitch, you know. So it looks to me that the board has to react. But in fact, I mean, it's a panic reaction. That's what it is, because he ain't got a chance. I mean, only 7 or 8 months. That wasn't a real chance.
But you look at any quality team. You know, at the helm, there's a serious player, a guy who knows how to handle. You know, it doesn't matter if they're superstars or not. He knows how to handle these people. And you know, this is where I think the club's gone wrong. They seem to be trying to put the cart before the horse. Let's pay some serious wages and get a good manager in, a guy who's got a proven track record.
I would love them to go for a top Italian man, a really big name, and just throw any money they want at him to get him there. But reality says to me it'll be Gordon Strachan, maybe.
Mark O'Neill.
Willie McStay.
George Graham.
Gordon Strachan.
Please, not a Celtic man. Anything but a Celtic man.